Tiffany here of Tiffany Gordon Cosplay, and on today's video I'm going to be showing you how I painted the Master Sword from the Legends of Zelda. And if you missed the first video of how I made this sword, you can check it out. I'll have a link in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And for this project, we're going to be airbrush painting the sword. So you're going to need your sword, airbrush paint, airbrush gun and compressor, masking tape, paper, paintbrushes, sealer, and of course a respirator. And if you don't have access to airbrush painting, you can also follow these steps by hand painting it with the same exact colors. And the paint that we're going to be using throughout this video, as well as the sealer, are all going to be provided by Createx Colors Wicked Color line. And for our base coat, we're going to be using Wicked White to put on the entire surface of the sword. This is going to make all of the colors pop a lot more on top. And once that coat was dry, I then used Quicksilver onto the blade portion of the sword. I will also note that for the Quicksilver, I did apply 2 coats to each side because Quicksilver on white does make a little bit lighter, so you'll want to kind of layer it. Then to go back in with some shading, and for this I did a mixture of the Quicksilver and the Jet Black, applying it on the sides of the blades as well as more towards the top of the hilt. And then went back with straight Quicksilver on the top portion of the blade to make sure this part popped. Once all of the silver paint on the sword was dry, it was time to mask it off, and for this I just used some old sketch paper and masking tape to cover the entire blade as well as upward towards the hilt. And a trick for getting to some of the really small areas, I actually used tweezers to help put them down and push the tape into the sections that I need. And then on to the next color, and for this we're going to be using the Pearl Copper color, applying this color to the diamond on the blade as well as the decorative scroll pieces. And then for shading, I added some Jet Black to the Pearl Copper color and went around all of the edges. And then one more time back with just the Pearl Copper onto the top parts to give that highlighted effect. After all of the gold sections were dry, I then masked that off with masking tape. And then for painting the rest of the hilt and the pommel, I used a pearlescent blue and the dioxine purple mixed together and applied this onto all surfaces. This is going to be a base coat that will make this bluish purpley color come to life. Once that coat was dry, I then went with just Dioxide's purple into all of the shadowing areas. And then for highlights, I used the Dioxine purple as well as a pearlescent white, and then put this on all the highlighted high points of the hilt and the pommel. This was going to be my last color for this section, but I felt like I wanted a little bit more depth, so I went back with just straight Jet Black into some of the shadowing areas just to give it a little bit more depth. Now for the fun part. Once all of that paint coat was dry, it was time to remove all of the masking tape and paper. And for the handle, there is a strap section, and this section is a green color. And to get this, I did a mixture of the Phthalo Green, Hanzo Yellow, as well as a tiny bit of Jet Black to get the color that I wanted. And then painted on this section by hand with a paintbrush. The final step for painting this sword is to do all of the details. And for this, I used Jet Black, applying it by hand with a very fine paintbrush around all of the edges of all the gold pieces, the strap, as well as the Triforce section on the blade to help it pop. And the very last step before finishing this sword is to seal all of the paint. And for this, I used Createx Colors UV-LS Clear Satin, applying it by hand with a paintbrush very lightly over the entire blade. You can also do this with an airbrush gun, but I prefer to do it by hand. And dun 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 dun, your master sword is complete. And that, guys, is how I painted the Master Sword from The Legends of Zelda. I hope you found this video helpful for your own next cosplay project, and if so, let me know in the comments. Like this video and subscribe to this channel, as well as a big thank you to all of my sponsors here on YouTube, as well as my legendary supporters, those members here on YouTube as well. And I'll see you for our next cosplay tutorial. Much love, guys. Bye-bye.